I get asked all the time, how do you start a ministry, Kris? How do you even begin? Maybe you're a single mom and you want to start your own single parent ministry, or maybe you're a single adult. Well, there's some really basic steps and they're all on my website, but let me just give you a quick summary of how to begin the process. Because single parent ministry, single ministry, well, all ministry can be really tough at times. And it has to be something definitely that God has called you to do. We never want to start a ministry because it's just to give somebody something to do. We don't need a social calendar by our ministry. It needs to be something that God has put in your heart because you see that there's a need. Maybe something's not being done presently at your church or in your community. Or maybe it is being done, but you could maybe contribute and make it better. So the first step I always tell people is you need to make sure it's needed where you're at. Look in your church, talk to your pastors, talk to the leaders, talk to others that have done it before you, and to see what has been done. What's the history of the ministries at your church? Maybe single parent ministry was done there years ago and it's not being done now. I'd find out why. Second is do a demographic study within your city, is also within your church. Print out an outline or a database of how many single adults are actually in your church, fitting the demographic that you're feeling led to call to minister to. If you yourself are a 30-something, 35-year-old, and that's who you feel called to minister to, see if there is actually other 30-somethings in your church. You may find that all the single parents are older, or maybe there aren't any single parents. The second is to find out what's in your community. You can go to your town hall and find out the demographics of your community to see if there's actually others in your community that you want to reach. Of course, all of this has to be bathed in prayer. One of my favorite people in the Bible is Nehemiah. Nehemiah had a heart broken when he found out that Jerusalem had been torn down, the walls had been torn down. And his brother had told him, he said, hey, dude, the walls are gone, our city's ruined. And the first thing Nehemiah wanted to do is he wanted to go fix the problem. I find a lot of people in ministry want to fix the problem. Their heart is there, it's in the right place, but they don't have the tools or the resources to actually fix it. They just have a heart. So Nehemiah had jumped on it right then. If he had gone out there to fix the walls by himself, how long would it have taken him? Would he have gotten it done? Would he have given up too soon? But that was his heart. He wanted to go. His flesh wanted to go. He wanted to fix the problem. And a lot of us in ministry, we see the need. We see all these single moms coming to church, single dads, single adults coming, and we want to fix it, but we don't know how. We have to use Nehemiah as a model. He waited and he prayed and he fasted. And as God worked on his heart and he confessed the sins and saw the errors and things that were done wrong, and he confessed them to God and he said, God, if you will be with me, if you help me, we'll do it the right way. Not only did God give favor to Nehemiah, and not only did he give him direction and prepare him for the task of building the walls, but he also gave him all these resources that he needed to do it. Even some resources he hadn't even thought of, like the enemy and attacking. The enemy doesn't like ministry, doesn't want it to grow, doesn't want you to reach anybody. So being aware of that is a part of the process of planning and starting a singles ministry or a single parent ministry. So one of the things I always encourage people in the beginning, you need prayer. You need prayer for the direction, prayer for the design of your ministry, prayer for who you want to reach, prayer for who's going to be on your team. And you can start it with people that are not necessarily a single parent or a single adult can be on your team. They can be older, younger, married. It's okay because you're just praying. You're just beginning the process. The people that were there with Nehemiah not necessarily were the ones that actually built the wall, and that's okay. But start with that prayer. And what I love about Nehemiah is it took him 6 months. I mean, it was a while. It wasn't something that he just, hey, I'm going to do this next week and we're going to pray and we're going to go for it. So take the time to pray through the whole process and begin to put together people that maybe can help you build the wall, to gather the people back. That's what Nehemiah needed. He needed the wall built to create a safe place for the scattered people to come back. Just like in single parent ministry, we need to build the wall. We need to build the ministry, the church, to bring them back because they're scattered. They're everywhere. They're not in church. And that's how we have to reach them. We have to show that there's a place that's safe for them to come back. So one is prayer. Number two is leadership development. You got to develop people to actually build a ministry. You can't do it by yourself. You have to have help. Now, if it's a singles ministry, you can do, I always tell people your leadership to reflect who you want to reach, but you want your leadership also to be male and female. We know in singles ministry that as you age up, less and less men are in singles ministry. I would say that we need to be praying for healthy men to come into our ministry, and you have to pray every day. This is spiritual warfare, guys. This isn't something, it's not a popularity contest. It's not a resource issue. It's not a building issue. This is spiritual warfare. But if you're a single moms ministry, then you need to have single moms on your team that are, I like to use the acronym FATS, faithful, available, teachable, with a servant heart. So you're looking for people on your team that are faithful. They're coming to church, they're in Bible study, they're studying the Word, they're learning and growing, not perfection, but you see this effort to grow. They're available. Please understand, not everybody in your church that is a single parent or single are going to come and be a part of your ministry, because single parent ministry and all ministry is just a gateway to bring people into the church, into the whole church. So for some, they've already left that area and they're doing other things, and we want to leave them alone. So you want to have people that are available. Some may have to lay something down to pick your ministry up. And some, it's just going to be a season. They'll help you for a while and then they're going to go back to what they were doing. The third part is that faithful, available, teachable. Teachable. What is their attitude? I have been to so many churches where they struggle with their leadership, and they'll say, oh, well, Miss So-and-so, she just really, really doesn't like to be told what to do. And she's always done this, and she's always been a part of this, and we can't get her out of that. That is going to kill your ministry. You have to have teachable spirits, people that have a team mindset, not that it's all about them. And then that servant heart. What can I do to help? Where do you need me to help? I've always done this, but I'm willing to do that. Because sometimes in the beginning, everybody does everybody's job. So then you have the first part. You have prayer. Not just prayer for you individually, but prayer for your ministry, the direction, the goals. The second one was leadership development. You got to build people to build the ministry, and that takes time as well. With Nehemiah, just imagine. He had all these people that had to build the walls, all of these different personalities, all these different people. This was their wall. They owned the house in front of this wall. And these guys didn't own the house in front of this wall. And you have all these layers of leadership. It was a lot of work to organize. But if you're going to build a wall, it's what it takes. And the third part is public relations. How is your ministry being perceived by your church? Do they look at it as an outreach or an inreach? Do they look at it as a problem that takes from the church or something that adds to the church? Well, the great thing about single parent ministry is most churches can't ignore the children. So they acknowledge that you as a single mom or even a single dad, that you are a family. I'd like to think as a single adult they would too, but it's okay. At least that's true, that as far as having a child, you are still a family. And so most churches today will acknowledge that there's a need to minister, and they'll start to do something. There's more support than ever before for single parent ministry, but still it has to be led and organized and ran. And it still has to have public relations in order to build it. Public relations is how we perceived by the rest of the church. Does the church support us financially? Does the church promote us from the pulpit? Does the church allow us to put up information and give out brochures? Does the church support us by offering divorce care, grief share, celebrate recovery, other types of programs? Are there child care for our children? Are they willing to mentor marrieds with single parents or single parents that are doing better and maybe have grown children to pair them up with ones that are young? Are they willing to do training? Are they willing to send the single moms to be trained? What are they doing to help you and support you in what you're doing? And how does the rest of the church look at you? Do they look at you as something that has major potential and something they see as a value? Or they look at you as this ministry that just takes the life out of their church? How you are perceived is how well you're going to grow. Some of that just takes time. But remember, even fast food restaurants have to continue to advertise. So it's a part of the process forever. It never changes that we continue to tell people about who we are. So if you start with those three things, you pray, God will provide all the resources that you need. And you'll be ready to build that wall. And by the way, Nehemiah finished it in 52 days. It's unbelievable. Who knows what God could do through you? But be faithful yourself, be available yourself, be teachable yourself, and be ready for wherever He wants you to serve. Even if it wasn't what you thought it would be, it's okay. It's what He wants it to be.